The world is sleeping in a shadow frame. I'm walking circles, whispering a name. Indigo perimeter is turning gold, a story that is waiting to be told. I see the silver turning into amber. I feel the static finally start to climb. Open the windows, let the colors gather. We're stepping over the horizon line. The wet concrete is mirroring the peach. Everything is finally within reach. I watch the glass unfurl across the bay in the silent hush of the coming day. I see the silver turning into amber. I feel the static finally start to climb. Open the windows, let the colors gather. We're stepping over the horizon line. Between the shadow and the glare, a heavy sweetness in the air. Nothing moves and nothing stays, lost inside the golden haze. I see the silver turning into amber. I feel the static finally start to climb. Open the windows, let the colors gather. We're stepping over the horizon line. Golden dawn. Golden dawn. Flower pots lined against the rail. Morning breeze moving through the basil leaves. The city below still finding its rhythm. Steam drawing shapes between the both of us. The elevator door closed quietly, leaving only honesty. The rooftop stretched beyond the avenue. Satellite dishes catching drops of blue. You looked at me like there was something left. You were tired of not saying every unfinished sentence. Every pause we let remain was standing here beside us, waiting for a name. Meet me in the space we never named, where all the almost gathered but never stayed. No more circling around what we're afraid to say. Meet me in the space we never named. The church bells carried over neighboring streets. Laundry swayed above the balconies. Beneath the morning felt unusually still, like the city knew the deal. You traced a pattern on the concrete wall and finally let your careful defenses fall. Not with grand declarations or perfect lines, just a simple truth this time. No dramatic revelation, no impossible display. Just two people choosing not to look away. Me in the space we never named, where all the almost gathered but never stay. No more circling around what we're afraid to say. Meet me in the space we never named. No audience, no spotlight glow, just distant traffic far below. A quiet laugh, a trembling breath, and every doubt begins to rest. The distance disappears between the words. Meet me in the space we never named, where all the wind years is carried us the same way. Meet me in the space we never named, and what we couldn't hold before is finally here to stay. The breeze moves softly through the vines. The city hums beneath the skyline. Two untouched coffee cups remain on the rooftop between us. Cups are clinking softly, chairs scrape across the stone. A page turns in the sunlight, and suddenly I'm not alone. Jacaranda shadows moving across the tabletop. Morning conversations drift from every little shop. There's a book beside my coffee, left behind without a name. Folded notes between the pages, written in a careful frame. I read a line about growing older, a line about missing home, and somewhere in the simple wording I hear an echo of my own. Someone I've never known wrote my thoughts before, left them in the margins of a scented handbook store. A different life, a different face, still somehow reaching through the years. Someone I've never known wrote my thoughts before, and suddenly this crowded world feels smaller than before. The distance disappears between our separate stories here. The square is filling up with people, sunlight dancing through the leaves. A violin across the plaza floats above the city breeze. Every note inside the notebook feels familiar in its way, like strangers sharing pieces of the same unfinished day. We carry different photographs, different roads beneath our feet. Yet sometimes in an ordinary moment, our reflections happen to me. Someone I've never known wrote my thoughts before, left them in the margins of a scented handbook store. A different life, a different face, still somehow reaching through the years. Someone I've never known wrote my thoughts before, and suddenly this crowded world feels smaller than before. The distance disappears between our separate stories here. Maybe that's the quiet wonder, hidden in the everyday, not being perfectly understood, but finding traces anyway. Across a table, across a page, across a city, across an age. Someone I've never known wrote my thoughts before. Now every passing stranger feels connected at the core. 1,000 lives around me move, yet none of them seem far away. Uncertain doesn't feel that way anymore. The world keeps opening wide, one human heart at a time. The coffee's gone cold beside me. The plaza shines in gold once more. I close the book and through the door. Catching pieces of everywhere. A quiet city waking slow. 3 stops after Harbor Avenue. 3 stops after Harbor Avenue. Sunlight moved across your sleeve, like it had somewhere to be. Outside, laundry floated from a line. Seagulls traced their signatures in white. You smiled when the tram leaned through a turn, and something in me turned. No fireworks above us, no grand design to see, just a conversation, finding room to breathe. You left color in the corners of my ordinary day, in the spaces between schedules where the hours drift away, like a song I wasn't searching for but somehow knew to play. You left color in the corners of my ordinary day. The conductor called another street. An old cafe released the smell of roasted beans. You told me stories from your week, and the city listened quietly. The ocean flashed between apartment walls. Children chalked bright circles on the boulevard. Every passing scene seemed rearranged, nothing looked the same. The distance felt much smaller than it did before we met. 1,000 little details I don't want to forget. slipping softly into time. The doors keep closed, may close, but some connections travel farther than they know. I hear your laughter in the rails below. Footsteps echo on the pavement, morning climbing up the walls. Somewhere church bells ring below me, through the city waking calls. I took the road above the harbor, past the gardens on the hill, past the corner bakery window, where the air was standing still. Sunlight painted every balcony, gold across the iron rails. A newspaper turns in the breeze, like a boat adjusting sails. I came here looking for a sign, something I could point to, something I could name. But every mile behind me has already rearranged the way I see the day. I crossed the street between then and now, didn't notice when, don't know exactly how. One step after another till the old noise faded out. I crossed the street between then and now, the sea the same somehow, but standing in this morning, I can finally see myself around. There's a woman watering flowers on a rooftop painted white. She waves without a reason, and I wave back in reply. Taxi tires hum below me, morning traffic starts to rise. Everything keeps moving, but there's stillness in my mind. No fireworks above me, no grand announcement in the air, just a feeling settling softly like sunlight everywhere. I cross the street between then and now, the sea the same somehow, but standing in this morning, I can finally see myself around. I cross the street between then and now, didn't notice when, don't know exactly how. One step after another till the old noise faded out. I cross the street between then and now, the sea the same somehow, the sea the same somehow, but standing in this morning, I see myself around. Baby change is quiet, belongs inside beneath the clouds. Nothing needs explaining, nothing needs escaping now. At Golden's rooftop, Silver Bay, I stand a little taller as the city starts its day. Morning spilling silver on the bay, footsteps drawing circles, tie bright, something I can almost rate. And the city slowly breathes, coffee steam above a floating deck, ferries pulling ribbons through the glass effect. I watch reflections around the shore, like they've been here before. The schedules flicker underneath the sky, people moving with a reason in their eyes, and somehow I don't need to understand every detail of the plan. The water keeps unfolding, past every line I drew, a quiet kind of knowing is pulling me through. Every window on the water knows my name today, sending little flashes as the shadows drift away. Every window on the water knows my name today, sending little flashes as the diction I can play. No map inside my pocket, no prediction I can claim. Yeah. Bicycles are crossing over steel, sunlight paints the harbor with a warmer feel. A gull cuts a curve above the waking crowd, and the silence turns loud. I used to count the distance left to go, measure every current moving far below. Now I let the morning set the pace, and I settle into place. The shoreline keeps expanding beyond what I could see. signal lights, no urgent signs, just piano echoes and passing lines. The harbor hums, the engines rise, and golden color in my eyes. For once I don't need certainty to know where I belong. Every wind on the water lights the way Morning rolling off the water, silver lines across the bay. Engines waking one by one now, pulling yesterday away. A gull cuts through the quiet sky, white against a warming blue. Fishermen are tying ropes, the market's coming into view. Someone flips the open sign, sunlight sliding down the storefronts like a hand begins to breathe. I can hear the city stretching, calling me to step right in. The whole town hums beneath the gold, and suddenly I know the road. Every corner turning bright, every signal catching light. No map folded on my seat, no hesitation in my feet. The whole town hums beneath the gold, and suddenly I know the road. Passing rows of painted vessels, rocking softly in their slips. Radio and harbor chatter, mixing with the rolling rhythm. Children riding toward the boardwalk, backpacks bouncing to the beat. Morning writes its name in motion on the pavement underneath. Every face a different story, every window holds a spark. What was distant in the darkness feels familiar in the heart. Salt air drifting through the dashboard, harbor bells across the tide. I don't need to rush the moment, I just ride past the cranes and weathered buildings, past the boats returning home. For the first time in a long while, movement feels enough alone. The whole town hums beneath the gold, and now I trust the road I hold. Every turn has brought me here, every mile made something clear. The morning isn't up ahead, it's all around me instead. The whole town hums beneath the gold, and now I trust the road I hold. Windows down on Harbor Road, sunlight dancing on the chrome. The day unfolds without a word, and somehow feels like home. Golden on the windows, city waking slow. Footsteps on the pavement, somewhere I should go. The bakery lights are glowing, steam rising into blue. Bicycles crossing intersections, painting lines I follow through. No map folded in my hands, no promise carved in stone, just the pull of something brighter, leading farther from the known. Meet me on the Amber Mile where the day begins to roll. Meet me on the Amber Mile where the day begins to roll. Writes another piece of home, writes another piece of home. Meet me on the Amber Mile, past the harbor and the tide. I can hear the city breathing, keeping perfect time tonight. Taxi mirrors catch the morning like fragments of a moving sea. Every signal turning greener as the road keeps choosing me. Keeps choosing me. Coffee cups and conversations float above the boulevard. Sunlight drips from glass facades, turning ordinary into art. A train hums through the distance like a memory passing by, and the future feels less distant with the ocean on my right. No need for all the answers, no need to see the end. Every corner holds a reason to keep moving once again. Street musicians by the seawall playing chords against the breeze. For a moment all the noise fades and the world moves easily. The horizon keeps unfolding, one more color at a time. What I searched for in the distance was already in the ride. Meet me on the Ember Mile where the morning opens wide. Every window catching sunlight like 1,000 tiny guides. Meet me on the Ember Mile past the harbor and the tide. Now the road and I are speaking in a language made of light. Meet me on the Ember Mile, every step becomes a sign. Not arriving, not escaping, just becoming with the tide. Golden reflections rolling with the sea. The Ember Mile keeps moving and it's moving through me. Engines humming through the morning, ropes released into the tide. Salt and sunlight on the railing, a quiet tremble deep inside. Ticket folded in my pocket, names of places I don't know. Paint is peeling from the dockside, gulls are circling down below. People gather without speaking, coffee cups against the breeze. Everyone is heading somewhere, carrying their private seas. For so long I watched horizons from the safety of the shore. Now the water keeps unfolding like an unanswered door. When the shoreline disappeared, I finally knew my name. Not from where I've been standing, but from choosing something changed. The wake behind the ferry drew a line I couldn't erase. When the shoreline disappeared, I finally knew my name. Clouds drift slowly over islands, passing shadows on the waves. The city shrinks into a painting far beyond the harbor cranes. I can feel the weight get lighter, I can feel the weight get lighter with every mile of open blue. Maybe certainty was never something I was meant to hold on to. Every mile rewrites the silence, every breath becomes more clear. There are answers in the distance that only move when I get near. No applause above the water, no dramatic turning scene, just the sunlight on the surface and the space between beliefs. I let the current carry what I no longer need. The sea keeps speaking softly through the rhythm underneath. When the shoreline disappeared, I finally knew my name. Not because I'm a destination, but because I came. Every island on horizon feels less distant than before. When the shoreline disappeared, I stopped waiting at the shore. The wake behind the ferry still shines beneath the day. When the shoreline disappeared, I finally found my way. Morning stretches across the water, golden paths across the sea. The first ferry heading southward carries more than just me. Footsteps on the stone road, morning calling softly. Wooden stalls unfolding wide, fresh paint catching morning tides, baskets lined with orange stems. rippers and flower stems. News are passing one by one. New whispers and flower stems. Silver bells and rising sun. Steam escaping from a cart. Tiny stories about to start. Someone laughs across the square. Someone lifts a folding chair. Every corner find its place. The whole street blooms before 8 o'clock. The whole street blooms before 8 o'clock. Colors spilling from your little shop. Windows shining like they're keeping time. Windows shining like they're keeping time with the rhythm of another day alive. The whole street blooms before 8 o'clock. Faces gather while the city starts. Every moment open while the city starts. Every moment opening like a flower in the golden hour after golden hour. Children chasing pigeons near. Old musicians tuning ears. Fresh bread cooling by the door. People asking for a little more. Salt wind drifting from the bay. Carrying from the bay. Carrying the start of day. Nothing grand and nothing planned, yet everything feels hand in hand. Conversations fill the air. Threads of life connecting there. Simple things become enough. The whole street blooms before 8 will shock. Windows shining like they're keeping time with the rhythm of another day alive. The whole street blooms before 8 o'clock. Faces gather while the city starts. For a second ring while the city starts. Every moment opening like a flower in the golden hour after golden hour. Coins in coffee cups. Footsteps crossing paths. The whole street blooms becoming part of the spark. What began as distant light upon the sea now is living in the people next to me. The whole street blooms before 8 o'clock. Golden reflections resting on their hearts. And I find more wonder than I thought I'd find in the ordinary beauty of this time. Flower stands and painted signs. Morning stretching down the line. Golden lines across the wing, silver clouds awakening. The city's fading underneath. Boarding pass inside my coat, coffee cooling while we roll. Tiny harbor shrinking slow, like a photograph I used to know. A sleeping stranger by my side, blue cabin lights and quiet eyes. The morning stretches far ahead, pulling colors through the edge. The coastline bends away, no need to make it stay. Something opens in the space between. Every mile paints a brand new morning on the glass, turning all the distant shadows into past. Then I'm learning how to trust what comes to pass. Every mile paints a brand new morning on the glass. Golden rivers running through the clouds we pass. For the first time I don't need to look back across the map. Orange ribbons cross the sea, scattered islands underneath. Sunlight spilling through the frame, nothing here remains the same. The engine hum becomes a song, carrying my thoughts along. I let the silence gently lead toward the places I can't yet see. Above the weather, above the noise, the sky speaks softly without a voice. 1,000 rooftops disappear below, and all the roads I fear become aglow. Every mile paints a brand new morning on the glass. Now the scattered pieces finally overlap, like sunlight finding every corner of the day. Every mile paints a brand new morning on the glass. Golden reflections dancing from the past. Now I carry the open where the future gently stands. Golden bands across the wing, morning wider than my dreams. Golden colors on the water, shadows fading from the street. The city slowly starts remembering how to wake beneath my feet. Coffee steam behind the glass, bicycles roll through empty lanes. A news pet spins beside the harbor, caught inside the changing breeze. The ocean carries silver ribbons past the docks and weathered signs. I trace reflections on the pavement like messages I almost recognize. Every corner feels unfinished, every heartbeat pulls me on. Something waiting past the skyline, somewhere beyond the dawn. Every window facing east turns the morning into gold. Lines of light across the rooftops, drawing stories yet untold. I don't need the answers now, I just follow what unfolds. Every window facing east turns the morning into gold. Trail behind it, breaking diamonds through the bay. Children laugh outside the station while the clouds drift far away. I catch my face between reflections in a tower washed with sun. For a second I can see it. The person I'm becoming now, the person I'm becoming now. Every street begins a sentence, every step completes the line. The horizon keeps inviting what I haven't learned to find. Every window facing east turns the morning into gold. Lines of light across the rooftops, drawing stories yet untold. I don't need the answers now, only room for what's to come. I let the sunlight find me as the harbor breeze below. There's a comfort in not knowing where this road intends to go. Every window facing east turns the morning into gold. What once felt beyond my reach now feels closer than before. Opening around me like a map I can explore. Every window facing east turns the morning into gold. Every window facing east shows me more than it has shown. Not because the world has changed, but because I've finally grown. Golden colors on the water, morning dancing on the stone. Windows facing east are shining, and I'm not walking here alone.